Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. And I have one of my good friends forever. I mean, I've known this guy forever. Long time. We've had a lot of fun together over the years. He is the retired Adjutant General of the Rhode Island National Guard. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the times we had, but we're here initially to talk about some more serious matters. In fact, number one would be 9/11. And nice to see you there, Reggie.
Good to be here again.
Or General.
Call me by my first name, sir.
Reggie?
Sir.
Oh, all right, sir. So how you doing?
Doing okay.
Good?
Good to see you. Been
Yeah.
a little while.
Yeah. How's everybody? How's the wife?
She's doing
Linda
good.
doing good?
Everybody's doing good. We all got through the COVID okay, and getting back to business as best you can. Got a lot of music out there that I've been doing lately,
Yeah.
and so we're happy that seems to be coming back in.
Well, hopefully the pandemic stays away and you can...
Yeah, well, we're planning for everything to take place to include.
Right.
We just
Well,
got through it. Our
You
whole
got the Situate
art festival. Yeah.
You run all the entertainment
Yeah,
there, right?
I do. And I run all of the concerts in the park for Situate. Just did our last one last Wednesday, and that went real well.
Yep.
And of course, people still pay attention to social distancing and so on. And so
Now, they
it worked
wearing
out.
masks outside?
Some do.
Yep.
Some don't. But they're clearly paying attention to being not right up against each other. So that was good. And the band spaces itself a little bit differently too.
Yeah.
So.
How many in the band? Is it still like 7?
Well, there's several bands that I participate with. Yeah.
excuse
I have
me.
3 big bands and
Right.
my own band, which is a quintet, which is 5 obviously, and that's the busiest of all 3 of them.
The quintet is?
Yeah,
And you play the what? The
trumpet.
trumpet.
Yeah,
Do you know I started playing the trumpet when I was a kid?
you told me that
Yeah.
a long time ago, and what
Yeah.
happened?
My father died, and I was with in the Boy Scouts, and I was loaned the trumpet at the time, and that was the end of it. When my dad died, we couldn't afford a trumpet, so I stopped playing the trumpet. That was the end of it.
No, there's always some levity in your stories.
What?
Okay? He didn't die because of your trumpet.
No, it had nothing to do with it. It had nothing to do with it. I was only 7.
Yeah.
I just turned 7. We're laughing about my father dying.
No,
That's terrible.
that's why I said levity.
Anyhow, 9/11. Where were you on 9/11? September 11th, 2001.
Yep. Well, on the 10th of September, I was standing on the DMZ in Korea.
Wow. What were you
and
doing there?
Well, I was invited by the South Korean government to participate in what they call the celebration of the Battle of the Outpost,
Right.
which is basically 52 to 53. 50 and 51 was the battle for the whole area, but then it reverted to just the battles within specific areas. They would call that the Battle of the Outpost. And
Now,
so they
that's
had this-
1950 and 1951. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. No, 1950 to 51 was the big war.
Right.
But then it got to 50, 51, 52. It was just strategic parts of South Korea as well as North Korea. And that was called the Battle of the Outpost. So they had this big celebration, which I was invited to, and we took about 33 Korean War veterans with us. And so we were all standing on the DMZ, and we did receive a briefing on that particular day, suggesting that there was a lot of chatter going
Right.
on, and it could be
Before it happened?
yeah, before it happened.
Wow.
It's the day before it happened, and
Yeah, this is on the 10th, as you said.
yeah, and so they suggested that there could be some terrorist activities going on, and we thought it might pertain to Korea.
Right.
And of course, they just had us be aware of what was going on. But just to change the subject a little bit, we were on a DMZ, and at the DMZ, which is the 38th parallel, you have a table just like this,
Right.
and the line goes right between.
Right through the table, yeah.
And on that side
North Korea.
is North Korea,
Right.
and they have North Korean soldiers on that side, and they have South Korean soldiers on this side.
Unbelievable.
If you put your arm across the table, you're committing a violation.
Wow.
And you don't want to do that. So it was somewhat
might
of
get
an
a
eerie
shot off.
situation. So you're standing there, and you're looking into North Korea,
Right.
and there's a huge facade of a building with a huge North Korea flag on it, and that's all there is. You got woods and other mountains and so forth. Well, you turn around and look into the south and you
It's a
see
city.
a metropolis.
Right.
So a big differentiation, but just being there was a tremendous experience. But then we moved and we were getting ready to go that next day. So we boarded Korean Airlines.
Yep.
And we were going to fly from, obviously, Seoul into New York City. And we were scheduled to land at 10 o'clock
10
at
o'clock,
JFK
9/11.
on 9/11.
And 9/11 happened just before 9 o'clock, the first,
Right,
first plane.
Right. But in the meantime, on our way over, there was a typhoon that happened in Japan. So we had to divert our flight plan a little bit.
Right.
And we flew into the United States. And just as we got into the United States, they put us down in Minnesota. And we didn't know why.
Right.
And no one was speaking to us. They were all speaking Korean. And so we didn't know what was going on. And finally, we saw a lot of other planes landing at the same time. I think there was something like 20,000 planes were put down in the first hour.
Wow.
And we were one of them.
Wow.
So we landed in Minneapolis, and I tried to get up into the cockpit to talk to the captain to find out what was going on, and he wouldn't talk to us. And finally, I demanded that I get up there and talk
Well,
to
you're
him.
the general, of course. You
Well,
got
I
to-
explained that to him, but it didn't have any effect initially. And then finally, I got his attention, and the Adjutant General of Minnesota came out personally and got us off the plane and took us into the headquarters. And that was the first time. Well, first of all, we weren't able to talk to anybody. So, and once again, there's always levity in every story, even though it's a very serious thing. Myself, my sergeant major, and my public affairs individual,
And all
Sergeant
three,
Major
I
Jack
know,
Ryan,
all the two guys
and
I
Mike
know,
McNamara,
right? Ryan and,
were all in the men's room on board the aircraft on a phone. And we called back to Rhode Island, and we were told what had happened. And it was the most terrible feeling.
Jaw-dropping feeling.
Everything just dropped out of your body. And from that point on, we knew that something was going on. And then when the Minnesota tag came over and got us off the plane, that was the first time we saw the planes going into the
Into
two
the tower.
buildings. Yeah.
now, you couldn't fly home from there.
No, we tried to get our own aircraft to come after us and couldn't
They-
fly.
No.
No aircraft was flying except Rhode Island Civil Air Patrol and other civil air patrols across the country. They were bringing blood back and forth to those areas that needed it.
Oh, yeah.
So Rhode Island Civil Air Patrol was flying, but no other aircraft was. And you had some, F-16s up in the air, but that was it. And so we commandeered a military vehicle from Minnesota and drove some 24, 25 hours straight.
Well, that's what, 1,200 miles, I guess,
yeah.
from there. 1,300 miles, maybe?
Yeah, well, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But we drove straight, and we took turns driving and sleeping, and one was up to keep the other guy up. And we finally got here in Rhode Island, and from that time on, it was all hands on deck. And during my tenure, which was from 95 to 2005, so from 2001 to 2005, the entire Rhode Island National Guard was mobilized at least one time. And of course, we had to do with Guantanamo, which one of the Rhode Island National Guard brigades was in charge of at the time.
Right.
So it was, I've been down there 3 times. And so it was quite an experience, and one that I'll never ever forget. But I just want to comment on coming back to Rhode Island. We were one of few vehicles on the road too. And when we were coming across just north of New York, you look south and you could still see the 2 plumes coming out of the
Really?
the fire coming out of
Right, out of the towers.
out of the towers, yeah. So it was something I'll never ever forget, and it's embedded in my mind forever.
Oh, yeah. All of us, everybody can remember, or
Yeah.
does remember where they were
Yeah.
in 9/11. You know?
So some of the guys that came, some of the veterans that came with us before this even happened, took off, and some went to China, others went to different parts of the world, and they weren't involved in that particular aircraft. So they had a tough time getting home afterwards also.
I'll bet they did, especially being in China or some
Yeah.
of those other countries.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, they weren't letting anybody fly.
Yeah.
Nobody was
And
flying.
car rentals were rare and few between. So
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
some of them probably got maybe 2 or 3 weeks before they got back home.
Yeah,
So it was a tough time.
yeah. It was certainly different. I was at home I got a phone call from a friend of mine. His name was Peter. He used to drive to Pennsylvania. He was part of that home shopping network. And he sold jewelry out of, right here, out of Providence or Cranston, Esposito's jewelry. And he was down there, and he was in New York City. And he called me. He says, "Turn the TV on." Well, first he asked me if I had it on. I said, "No." He said, "Turn the TV on." So I turned it on. I go, "What's the matter?" He goes, "A plane just hit one of the buildings." And at first he thought it was just a private plane, a small Cessna or a Piper Cub or something, because he didn't see the plane hit, but he saw the fire and everything. And he was still driving, as it turns out, in that direction. And as I'm watching it, all of a sudden, here comes a plane. And I'm thinking I'm watching a rerun of the plane that hit the building. I'm going, "Hey, that wasn't a little plane." He goes, "No, and another one's coming." And he actually watched the other plane overhead hit the building. Because by this time, he was closer to that area, you know.
There are 1,000 stories out there, and all of them are unique unto themselves. And when you hear that story, no matter how many times you hear it, it's just like you heard it for the first time. So it's
I've been
sobering
hesitant to, because we had already planned on going to New York weeks earlier. We had already set it up. I had rented a van. I rented another big camera, high-def camera. I had one, and I had 2 camera people, so I got a second camera. We had planned on going down there the weekend, the 15th, which was 9/11 happened on a Tuesday morning. We were going there early Saturday morning. So we were talking about it and trying to decide if we're still going to go. And then we decided, yeah, we're going to go. Bob's Big Adventure, that's what I do. So I went down to New York with these two friends, and we parked the car way away, and we started walking over to the area. And they had 2 set cameras that all the media was getting their footage from. And it was 10 city blocks away from the buildings, or what was left of the buildings. And I told my guys, we had press credentials, and I told my guys, don't make eye contact with anybody. Just follow my lead, but don't look at anybody. What do you mean by that? I said, don't look at any authorities. If I breach them, just follow me, just do what I do. Yeah, but what if we get in trouble? I said, don't blame me, don't worry about it. I'll take the blame for it, just do it. Just follow me. Well, we breached through one after the other after the other. They had sawhorses set up, and they had state troopers at each intersection. And we went through. We got all the way to the very last one. I actually got through by it. I was literally 100 feet from the burn. It was still smoldering. 100 feet from the hole now. And all of a sudden I hear my name. And what happened was one of the guys ended up turning around, and he made eye contact with the state trooper, and the state trooper called him over, and then he asked him, who's that guy, meaning me, and the state trooper started, first he did, and then the state trooper started yelling my name. And he called me over to him, and they sent me packing, but not until I had already gotten some video and some shit. My camera guy that did make it through got some video, and I got some still pictures. And then and I won't tell you what I saw, I told you off camera. And we went back, and he couldn't leave his post, so he just sent us back. But I only went back to the 8th, to 2 streets away, and I ran into this woman, and she was crying on the sidewalk, and I went over to her to start talking to her, and she was an elderly woman, and come to find out, she lived in a high-rise right near 9/11, right near, I don't know how many blocks it was away, but it was a big high-rise, 90 stories, 100 stories, whatever it was. And she was up on like the 80-something floor on the high-rise, and she's sitting out on her patio, and she's explaining this to me. And here comes a plane right by her, and it was a little higher than her, but she could see people in the plane, with their, pressing against the windows of the plane and going to their death. I mean, that was, I had nightmares for a long time after that, after that story. And then they end up catching me, the state trooper ended up coming after me, and he shooed me out of that area. But I got some great footage there, and I got great footage. In fact, there was a canteen from Providence there that I ended up talking with the guys running the canteen. They were serving water and food and everything to the workers down there.
Yeah. That's a good point you bring up. I think that was probably one of the most significant mutual assistance operations ever, where no matter where you looked, there was somebody from another state,
Oh, yeah.
another organization, and it was just tremendous support to each other.
It was amazing it was absolutely amazing how many vehicles were destroyed as a result of that, let alone the people. Not even counting, was it 2,800 people were killed?
Yeah, pretty close to 3,000.
Yeah, just under 3,000. There was like 127 fire trucks and emergency vehicles were destroyed from 9/11.
Yeah, yeah. Tough time.
It was a different time, and people chipped in all over. The restaurants were coming out, and the fancy restaurants were serving food to people. Everywhere you went, people were giving somebody something. They were.
That happened with very little expertise, very little technology compared to what we have available today.
Right.
It's just some basic things that happened, and we didn't pay attention to it initially. And
Well,
I
like
hope-
you said, you heard chatter. They had
Yeah,
chatter
well,
the
yeah, you
day
hear chatter.
before.
Now chatter means something specific.
Right.
It means something's about to happen. So as we speak right now, there's some consideration and concern that coming up upon the 20th anniversary, we perhaps might be looking at something to happen.
Right.
So I'm not sure that, I don't have any evidence, or I hope nothing happens, but you need to be prepared in the event that something does. I think we're a lot better prepared now,
Right.
certainly than we were back in 2001. And the hijacking was a big deal back then, and we never thought much about that
Yep.
because it was somewhat not happening. And all of a sudden it happened, but we didn't look at it from that point of view.
Right.
And using our own aircraft
Against
to
us.
destroy, yeah.
Yeah. Because the only hijacking they had was before that, much before that, was hijacking to Cuba.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah.
in the 70s and the
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
That was a happening.
Yeah. So I think, and I'm not giving any credit to those at all, in reference that committed this
Atrocity.
attack on us, but we better keep in mind they're not dumb people.
Right.
They're very smart, and they take advantage of things that we don't even pay attention to. Those things that we don't pay attention to had better be what we're concentrating on right now.
Right.
And so they know that. They know what our weaknesses are, and we take too much for granted and just accept things that won't happen
Right.
when it will happen. And I think I have a lot of confidence in our preparedness right now that we're much better off than we were back then.
But now we got the other problem, Afghanistan. We got all the weaponry we left there. First of all, what do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that they left so much weaponry?
Well, it's certainly not a precedent. We did the same thing of a larger scale in Vietnam. All of those vehicles and all of our armament and all of our weapon systems were left in Vietnam.
Right.
Many of them made it to ships, and if you remember the newsreels back then, I'm dating myself with newsreels. They were taking helicopters and throwing them off the
Right.
ships into the
Right.
sea,
Yep.
so that they wouldn't get in the hands of the Vietnamese.
The Viet Cong.
The Viet Cong. But I'm positive also that if there were any classified instrumentation or aviation sensitive items on those aircraft, it would have been destroyed.
Right.
The same things with all of our weapon systems, the tanks, the personnel carriers. They're probably very operable, but they're not going to last that long until they have the technology to be able to take care of them. Eventually, they'll
They'll
find
bring somebody in from another country that has the
that, or they'll
technological
Google
expertise.
how do you fix it,
Yeah, there you go.
and they'll get that done that way.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, it's impossible to take all that equipment back with us.
No, I know you can't take it back, but why not destroy it?
You're right. They didn't have the time. Let me back up a little bit. I agree we should have left a long time ago, but I don't agree with how we did it this time.
Right.
Yeah, there should have been a very strategic, detailed plan before we even made the first move of announcing, and that was the second mistake, in my opinion. You don't announce something that you're
You
going
don't
to
tell
do.
them the day you're
You
leaving.
know, tell them, Dan, we're going to be here, we're going to be there, and
Right.
this is the day we're going to leave, and they know that. All they have to, someone once said, and a very good friend of mine who owns a restaurant in Situate, his name is Eli, tremendous guy. He knows more about the Mideast than most people probably suggest they do. And he said, to us, 20 years is a very long time.
Right.
To
Not
them,
to them.
it's nothing.
Nope.
It's a generation, 2 or 3 generations.
Right.
And someone also said, and I read recently, so I'm not plagiarizing, but someone said it, that, you have the weapon systems to defeat the Taliban. We have the time.
Right.
And that's a big difference.
And they had the people that would
Yeah.
do things that we wouldn't do. No,
Yeah.
how many Americans are going to strap bombs around them and,
Yeah.
and go into a crowd?
Exactly. Well, you have 1 or 2 nuts here
Yeah,
with
right, yeah.
homegrown
But, I mean, they got 'em-
terrorism. But they do it as a matter of who they are, their culture.
Right, right.
And they exist for different reasons than we do. And they place a very little value on life as we do.
Right.
And
Well,
so
they want the virgins. They want the 37 virgins or whatever they're going to get if they get killed, right?
yeah, they don't realize they're all ugly. But the deal there is, when you make a strategic move like this, you have to ensure that you know all the possibilities that it's going to unleash. What are the consequences? We should certainly have known that once we make that announcement, the Taliban is going to fill in that void
Sure.
the best they can,
Yeah.
because it's just a matter
Quickly.
of time. Yeah. And we didn't plan for that, apparently.
Right.
Because we still have American citizens there.
Well, we also didn't plan for the military, which we built up and trained and whatever.
I have my own philosophy on that.
Go
and,
ahead.
I think I'd like to share that now.
Go ahead.
I don't think, and I'm sure I'll get criticized for saying this, but Afghanistan was never a country to begin with. It's a geographical designation with many tribes within that.
Right.
And those tribes look at Islam in different points of view.
Sure.
They don't like each other for the most part, and they can't get along. So if the Taliban thinks they're going to go in there and centralize that, it's impossible.
It's not happening.
So when you talk about an Afghan army, the army is only as loyal as they want to be to who is ever supplying the money. And in this particular case, the United States
Right.
put in billions of dollars for the Afghan army. When you pull out, so did the army.
Right. Right.
And they
No
go
more
back-
loyalty when you're not paying them anymore.
The loyalty dissipates.
Right.
And they go back to whatever they want, with a particular tribe, whatever they affiliate with. And so there was never an Afghan country as we refer to
Right.
it. And
We
there's
try to make
geographical-
them a country.
Yeah,
We try
and that's
to-
the big thing too. The United
centralize.
States military was never ever designed nor meant to
Right.
be a nation-building
Right.
organization. It was meant to win a war and come home, and we didn't do that.
Right.
The last time that happened was World War II, and there was still a war in Korea. That war never ended either. So, when you look at whether the strategic plan and whether the will of the people of the country want to win a war, we'll win it. In this particular case, the will of the country was not in place to be able to do what we had to do, and consequently, the divisiveness within the country, I think, is what caused us to suffer another situation like
Well,
we did in
I
Afghanistan.
often wondered anyway, when the Russians who are right next door, they don't have to fly there, they don't have to take ships over there, they can just by land get to the country, and they couldn't handle them.
Well, Britain couldn't either,
Yeah.
and so did Russia. And you'd think we may have learned,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Exactly.
I get very upset when I hear people blame the military.
Right.
Military in the democracy that we have, republic that we have, works for elected officials.
Right. Right.
The
Right.
military does not make policy; it enforces policy. And when you blame something on the military that they had no control over,
They were told to
that
do
bothers
something,
me.
and they did it.
Right. So if you're going to place blame, you need to blame the individuals who make the decisions at the level of the presidency and the Congress and so on and so forth, people that we elect to go there.
Right.
And when you have that divisiveness within the Congress and within the presidency, you can't blame it on the military. And that bothers me when
Good
people
point.
talk about it.
Very good point. Yeah. Yeah, they're only doing the bidding for
Yeah.
who's ever in control.
Well, they're doing what they raised their right hand to do.
Right.
And it's to defend the country against all terrorism, local and foreign. And so that's what we need to concentrate on.
Well, it's like in Iraq, and it drives me crazy to think about that. Remember, there was two Army companies, like battalions, whatever you call them, and one Marine vying all to get to Baghdad. And when they were, taking over these towns on the way there, I was saying when it was happening, why are they not blowing up their military hardware? Why are they not taking the ammunition, blowing it up, which they ended up turning into roadside bombs? All the shells, all that. They had them in caches of weapons in bunkers and everything. Why not blow up the bunkers on the way in?
Well, at one point, several years back, the Taliban was an ally of the United States.
Right.
And to some extent, I think there were different people still looking at policy as to whether, in fact, they would come back to us
Right.
and help us take out Al-Qaeda and other radical groups
Right.
within the Islamic State, if you will. And that's another thing that I think we need to clarify. We're not against war with Islam. We're against war
With radical.
with the radical application of
Right.
Islam,
Right.
which is interpreted by obviously radical groups like Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, and different organizations that take it to the extreme and are willing to kill you because you don't think what they think like.
Right, yeah. It's a different world
But
now.
I'll tell you, I've been there. I've been to Iraq. I've been to Afghanistan. I've been to Kuwait. I've been to every country who had troops in. And when you look at the people and you talk with the people, they're wonderful people.
Right,
But when you get the radical application and they have no alternative,
right.
you can't blame the people for wanting to lay down their arms.
Yep.
Because the alternative is that they're going to get killed.
They're going to get their head
Yeah.
cut off.
Yeah. And that's a sorry situation.
Yep. Wouldn't want to be there.
No,
Wouldn't want to deal with that.
no.
So what are you doing for 9/11? You get, oh, wait a minute. Isn't this your anniversary today?
Today's my anniversary, yeah.
What anniversary would that be, General?
Let's see, 64 years ago today, I raised my right hand and joined the Army.
64 years.
Yeah, I was 17 at the time. And
Wow.
it's been a wonderful ride all the way through. And
Holy
I finally
cow.
retired in 2005 after a 48-year span. And it was quite a experience.
Holy cow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that you could last that long. Huh?
Oh, I think I am still.
Yeah.
There are days when I'm not sure if I'm here or not.
I was telling people maybe my best Christmas was the Christmas we spent together.
Oh, yeah, that was a great trip.
Wasn't it something?
Yeah. Well, you accompanied us, and you were our guest, and a bunch of other
Tazar,
media.
Hungary.
And we went to Tazar, Hungary, because we were visiting troops who were stationed in Bosnia. And if you recall, we had 2 orphanages that we spent
That's
Christmas
right.
Day with.
Yep.
And on the way there, we stopped in at the Azores on the way there.
Well,
That
it wasn't
was
a
Christmas.
purposeful stop, though. It wasn't a planned
Yeah,
stop.
I'm not sure we want to discuss that
No,
one.
you don't want to discuss that?
But anyway, the point is we eventually ended up with 2 places where these kids were in
Right.
orphanages, and we brought them something like 25,000 pounds
Of
of
toys.
toys from Hasbro.
Hasbro.
And giving kids, 18-year-old kids, receiving a G.I. Joe for the first time and seeing tears in this kid's
Yep,
eye
yep.
was just a wonderful experience. And seeing these little toddlers walking around, and it was just a great Christmas.
Right.
Good.
As was Christmas Eve at the church.
Yeah, I love to tell that story,
Orthodox.
yeah.
Huh?
I love to tell that story.
No, you don't want to tell that
Yeah,
story
no,
either.
no, yeah. Bob and I went to church along with several other people, and you'd go there, and the Mass was in Latin,
Right.
and the homily was in...
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead. And the homily was in
Hungarian.
Hungarian.
And when it got to the collection,
It was
perfect English.
Perfect.
He 2 collections. But that was a great.
Oh, it was
night.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It was a beautiful mass, midnight mass. And I knew the Latin because having gone through a Catholic school for 9 years. I knew Dominus Cabisco, Ecum Spes Tutuo. I knew all that stuff.
Yeah, I saw you do that. You stand up before everybody else.
Oh, yeah? No, that was fun. That was a good trip. That was a fun trip.
Of course, you went to a few other trips with us, too.
Exactly.
You went to Cuba with us, didn't you?
Yep. Where else?
Yeah. A few other places in the United States. Went to Germany.
No, I didn't go to Germany.
No.
Yeah. Well, you boxed me out of that one, huh? I didn't get Germany, huh? No.
Probably there must have been a reason for it.
Well, we went to Mississippi, went to Shelby Base in
Yeah,
Mississippi.
yeah.
Remember, I had a tenant that was, he was activated, and he was there, and I wanted to bust him up. I had you call him up to me, and I said, "Where's the rent?" We had some fun.
Yeah, we did. That was good. Good
Well,
stuff.
Reg, it's always good to see you.
Good to see you too, and you keep doing a great job. And tell you, a lot of people watch this show.
Hi, folks, we're back on An Hour with Bob, and look what I got. This is Forever Patriots. A good friend of mine brought this here for me, and he's with us right now. You may recognize him. He's been around this area for a very long time.
Decades, many decades.
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 Ace sportscaster for NBC 10 for years.
In another life.
In another life.
That's right.
Now he's doing, what would you call yourself? A promoter?
Comedy promoter, video production extraordinaire.
Yes. Now,
And on weekends, I wash cars.
and also your voice, your voiceover, because I hear you on.
I pop up once in a while.
Yeah, I hear
Yes.
you on the radio. I mean, on TV.
Sometimes.
Your voice.
Well, some of my clients
Right.
that we produce videos for, as you know, ask
Right.
me to narrate things when they like my voice.
Right. And,
So someday I hope to be able to narrate something for your show, but
Really?
I haven't made the cut here yet.
Well, my 30th anniversary is coming up May 29th, and I'd like to
I told you should have a huge, I've been telling you that for years.
Yeah.
Big show. Should be a big Kennedy Plaza.
Kennedy Plaza?
Fireworks,
Yeah.
blimp. You get a blimp?
You got the blimp?
You have a blimp? Well, at the very least, boy, what do you call it? The little things that fly around. Boy, I'm getting old. You see that? Drone, a drone. You don't need a blimp. You get a drone. You must know someone with a drone.
I know somebody. Does
You're a
have
resourceful
drone.
guy.
Yeah. No, but
There you go.
where am I going to have it?
Kennedy
I'd like
Plaza.
To have it. No, I'd like seriously.
Do you want me to hook you up with the mayor? You probably know the mayor. The
we-
governor. You
we've
just
met.
forget the mayor. Just go to the governor. He's your guy. What am I talking about? He's connected.
Oh, the mayor ain't going to be friendly with me after he sees my last show.
Oh, then maybe Kennedy Plaza's out. We have to find a new.
We gotta find a new place.
I can hook you up in Newport. How about in Newport?
No, Newport's not it.
No, all right.
No, it's too far out. I think it's got to be more centralized. Like a good place would be.
McCoy Stadium is available.
It
No
is.
pun intended.
It is.
How about there?
That's
Seriously.
seriously. That's
You know
a
the mayor of
possibility.
Pawtucket. You're close to the governor.
Yeah.
Put 5,000 people in McCoy Stadium. Raise some money for charity.
Well, but the
There you
question
go.
is, would 5,000 people come?
I think they would. 30 years. Congratulations. 29 and a half years.
Yeah, May 29th is May 29th, 1972.
Holy
my first show.
mackerel. How many shows? Did you ever count them?
No, you know something? I have not.
You should.
I should.
Yeah.
I should. When you consider both shows, An Hour with Bob, because a lot of people don't realize they're two different shows.
That's
this
right.
This is the variety show.
Yeah.
And the other show is Bob's
Big Adventures. Right.
And I've done
Which is
awful
an
lot of them.
international show because
is.
you've been everywhere with
Yeah.
that camera, right?
Five continents. Went on 5 continents with
Yeah.
that. And
Now,
a number of-
speaking of the Patriots, what you just held up was something that the Patriots sent out to season ticket holders. The
Yep.
Patriots still like me, so they still send that to me, and it's a team I covered for 12 years, and still a big fan, as you know. We watch games together with the rest of the guys, and very nice that Forever New England, welcome back on
I think
the.
she left. I think
and,
she, oh, there it is. Yeah.
I'm giving that to you to commemorate an early anniversary present.
Wow, that's very nice of
So,
you, Joe.
well, my pleasure. There you go.
What is that like?
Are you
coming from?
optimistic or pessimistic about the Mac Jones era
I
and
like
the
the
Patriot
kid.
season?
Well, as you know, I like college football.
Yeah, you've been
And
following him, right?
Yes.
Charts, graphs, breaking down film.
Yep,
Yep.
the kid's good. And
What Bob does in his free time.
he's got a rifle for an arm. The
Yep.
kid's got a great arm. And he reminds me, I'm trying to think if he reminds me of Elway, or I'm trying to think of who he really reminds me of.
Well, if he's half of John Elway, there's going to be many exciting moments at Gillette Stadium.
I think the kid's good. I really do. And I hope that he has people to throw to.
Well, they've upgraded in that
they've
area. They
upgraded.
have great tight ends.
Well,
And
you know the guy I don't like. I hope they get rid of.
McCourty, Jason.
Well, yeah, him too.
Yeah,
That's
on the other side of the ball.
That's the
Right,
defense.
right.
On the offense.
Oh, we're still on offense. Okay.
Harry, I don't think he's.
Well, I don't know if you're going to see N'Keal Harry again, but they've upgraded in a lot of areas. Mr. Kraft spent a lot of money, about $175 million guaranteed over the next few years.
Wow.
And they're all in on this guy, and he plays with a lot of poise. He certainly did not look like a rookie for most of the preseason.
Right.
And the fun starts September 12th against the Miami Dolphins at 4:25. So let's see. I'm cautiously optimistic about a 10 or an 11 win season. What do you think? How many wins?
11 would be good.
You'll go with 11. Okay. 11 should get them a playoff. Now, don't forget 17 games this year.
Yeah, I know.
So it's going to be fun. It's good to have football back. It's
Now,
good to,
17 games, regular season, but then
Correct.
they knock off a preseason
yeah,
game.
they knocked off one. So the final season game will be January 10th in Miami.
The regular season game.
Right. The Super Bowl's pushed back a week, so the Super Bowl will be like February 12th or 13th, around there.
Yeah.
Which is good because it's President's Day weekend, and a lot of people don't go to work the next day after the Super Bowl anyway.
L.A., right? They have an LA
Los
this
Angeles,
year?
SoFi Stadium. You don't have your credential yet?
We got to book that.
Yeah,
We gotta
okay.
book that.
Well, when you get that lead on tickets,
Yeah.
let me know. I'll meet you there, happily. Yeah, happily.
Well, I got a kid that used to work on this show.
Right.
I've told you this.
Yeah.
He's working for the Bengals right now, Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, there's your connection. Every team gets an allotment of tickets. Even the Bengals, who I doubt will be in Los Angeles
Right,
on
yeah.
February 12th.
Well, they
But
have
every
a good
team gets
quarterback.
tickets.
They have a good quarterback.
Yeah, well,
the
but
kid there.
Joe Burrows is
Yeah.
back. But they'll be
LSU, right? He was with LSU.
they'll be lucky to win 6 or 7 games.
Really?
So you feel like coming to a comedy show, by the way? We're back in action.
We got,
you know.
look
We
at
got
this.
Two
we
of
got
them
two
coming up.
comedy shows. Now, which one?
Lenny Clark, you ever heard of him?
Lenny? Oh, of course. In fact, I got a clip for Lenny Clark today.
You do?
I
Where
have
did you
a
get
clip.
that?
I have connections. I have friends. I have connections. Lenny Clark's a Boston guy.
Absolutely.
He's a New England guy. Everybody knows who Lenny Clark is.
He's got a few good jokes.
He got a few, yeah. He's at the Odeum, right?
The Greenwich Odeum, we're calling it Lenny and Friends, show and promote. We've done it 3 times before, not last year, of course, but it's another, we've postponed it 3 times like everybody else in the
Yeah, because
events
of
in
this
the
crazy
entertainment business.
world we live in.
So, but the good thing is everyone should feel comfortable and safe at the Odeum because that theater, like all the Rhode Island theaters, has protocols in place that you must show proof of vaccination or a negative test that you've taken within 72 hours, which is easy to do and free, and that gets you entrance into the building. So everyone in the building can feel a little bit better and safer to know they are with people who are negative
That are
or
also negative.
vaccinated. Right, and all the theaters are doing that. And that'll be the protocol for Lenny and Friends. And not only Lenny, we're putting Christine Hurley and Tony V with Lenny, 2 other hilarious headliners.
Right, yes.
So it's 3 headliners in one night, which you normally wouldn't see, but we really want to blow the roof off the place.
Right.
And let's face
Now,
it.
that was already also redone, too, that Odeum, right? Didn't they just?
3-4 years ago. They've done a
Yeah.
marvelous job with that theater, and we love working with them. We sold it out the last 3 times.
Yep.
And it's October 2nd, and the website is greenwichodium.com, greenwichodium.com, any lovely Main Street, East Greenwich. And the other thing we're going to do, Bob, at that show.
Frontline workers.
Yeah, I'm inviting 30 frontline workers from Kent County Hospital, and like you, like everybody, watching the news all these months and seeing these nurses and doctors and how hard they've been working, and grocery store workers, et cetera, police, fire, EMTs. I said when we resume comedy shows, we've got to do something for these people. Right. So for the Greenwich Odeum show, we're going to have 30 frontline workers come as our guests and recognize them and do something special for them that night, and we're happy and pleased to do it. That's one of the shows.
And the other show is Comedy for the Courageous. Again, frontline workers here, too.
So that's we're going to do in southeastern Massachusetts in Westport, Whites of Westport on October 22nd. It is Comedy for the Courageous. Tony V and Ray Harrington are on the undercard with Lenny, so it'll be another fantastic, strong show. What we're doing at this show, this is a total fundraiser for South Coast Health and the ministry that represents St. Anne's Hospital. So all the money we make that night is going to those hospitals.
Yep.
We're inviting 200 frontline workers from southeastern Massachusetts as our guests at the show. We're going to have a silent auction, a live auction, And that's going to be a heck of a night, and that's October 22nd at White's of Westport, right off the highway there. And
Right,
the
yeah.
website for that is southcoastcomedy.com, southcoastcomedy.com, and all the money's going to those hospital groups. And again, we figured at the very least, we want to treat these people to a laughter-filled
Well, they
night.
need it. They need it.
Absolutely.
They could use it. Absolutely.
So Lenny's a funny guy. You've seen him.
I have.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
we got a
what I've heard.
clip. We got a clip. We got a
Oh,
clip.
beautiful.
already.
Let's
Can we
check
watch
him
that
out.
clip?
Yeah.
She's getting the clip ready.
Okay.
Well, I had to pull some strings to get this. 'Cause usually you can't get these clips from these comedians. They don't want you.
Some of them can be a challenge, yes.
They don't want you showing their clip.
Right. Yeah, I know. Well, we're excited to have Lenny back. I've done a variety of shows with him over the years. He kills every time. But to have Tony V and Ray Harrington with Lenny on October 22nd, and then in East Greenwich to have Christine Hurley and Tony, it really is the icing on the cake. It's the icing on the icing on the cake.
Icing on the icing, huh?
Yeah, it's a great show. And hey, laughter really is the best medicine. I mean,
It sure is.
Google the benefits of laughter. I did that. Someone asked me to do that 10 years ago for a local article I was writing, and I couldn't believe the health benefits. Really, it is surprising.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Just Google the benefits of laughter, and
That's why I try to laugh all the time.
Oh, especially these days. Don't we need a laugh or two? Absolutely.
Are we ready? We got that clip?
This is so exciting. A little Greek boy in Arlington, Mass. has a dream, and he turns it into an extravaganza. Out to hundreds of foreign countries, of which everybody is already here. Oh, I say that kidding around, but it's true. You know, I tell you what, recently we had a tragedy, and we all came together as a great group, and we had catchphrases like Boston Strong. And it was wonderful. Everyone loved it, Boston Strong. And then Devil Patrick, our fabulous governor, came out with his own catchphrase, shelter in place, shelter in place, shelter in place. And we all said, what the hell is he saying? He said, Governor, what are you saying? He said, I'm saying shelter in place. It's a great new catchphrase. What does it mean? It means, well, basically stay where you are. Well, why don't you say that? This guy, I can't figure him out for the life of me. 8 weeks ago, we had a big storm. And he came on TV and said, everybody, get off the roads. There's going to be a snowstorm. Get off the roads by 4 o'clock. Do not go to Stop and Shop. Do not go to Market Basket, which is the Spanish Stop and Shop. Go right home. If you stay on the road, you're going to be fined $2,000 and a year in jail. What does he think? We're children? We're New Englanders. That's what we do when there's a storm.
But
This is
faster.
a new set.
I love the
new
studio. It's beautiful.
New studio. We're
Yeah.
here in East Providence now.
Yeah.
Although people used to think I was in East Providence when it was really Pawtucket, but right on the line. And now, because of the pandemic, I lost my whole crew. And as you know, a couple of my crew members ended up on Channel 12. They're
Right.
both two kids that worked for me for years.
Well, you're not paying them enough. That's the
I
problem.
know.
You got to
I
get in
know.
and negotiate.
Well, I
You
tell
gotta-
them they make as much as I do. They make the same pay I do.
Well, you have a nice crew here. You have very capable people.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Are we? Are we getting there? Diane's having a little trouble with that clip, I think.
Well, again,
We
it's
might add- we
Comedy
might
for
add
the
it in.
Courageous, October 22nd. Maybe you can edit it in later.
Yeah.
Southcoastcomedy.com at White's of Westport. And we're selling a lot of tickets, which we're happy and excited about.
Right.
And then Lenny and Friends is October 2nd in East Greenwich.
I'm going that
with
one.
Christine Hurley and Tony V, and that's GreenwichOdeum.com. And
I went there several times when I lived there. I lived in East Greenwich for 4 or 5 years.
they have some wonderful events, a lot of music at the Odeum. Again,
Yeah.
they've done a fabulous job, those folks in East Greenwich and the young ladies who run that theater. So we're happy to be going back there.
And the South Coast thing, I have a connection with that because my doctor that did fix my knee after it got messed up by the other doctor,
Right, right.
he is the head of orthopedic surgery for the 3 South Coast hospitals.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he'll be there then. Invite him. We would love to have him as our guest.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Invite him. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great,
Let
great
me know.
guy.
We'll
In
take
fact, I
care of your
talked to him
doc.
yesterday, he's in San Diego.
Anyone who's taking care of you, we want to take care of.
Really, thank you, thank you.
And start working on the anniversary show.
You know where I'd like to have
May
it?
29th.
Cello's on the waterfront. What do you think of that?
That's a good spot too. Sure, why not?
It's either Cello's on the waterfront that I know of that I think I could get to do a show. In fact, we do it the week before because that weekend is Memorial Weekend,
Right.
so they're going to be busy anyway. But
Right.
the weekend before, it's the week before they open, so it'd be like a warm up for the.
Well,
for the
I like the McCoy Stadium idea because chances are it will be available. Plenty of seats, plenty of acres of free parking, and
That is an idea, and I could get some bands. I could get some good bands.
Bands. We could get a comedian or two.
Right, right.
It could be big.
But the thing about at Cello's, we'd have the food too.
Well, you just bring in a caterer. You have connections there. Just bring in a few caterers.
You might have something
McCoy
there,
Stadium,
Joe.
absolutely,
You
because
might
that's
have-
going to sit there, as we both know, for a while, right?
Yeah,
So,
you might have something there.
okay, glad I stopped in. Glad I was to be a little
Yeah,
help.
yeah. 'Cause I can put together.
Well, see,
3 or
that's
4
why
bands.
Rock Joe Productions in our company, we do event coordination too. See, we come up with those ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Right.
didn't you do the video for Providence Water Fire? Didn't you do the video?
The documentary, it's coming up on 10 years now, called Art and Soul of a City, Water Fire, which Rhode Island PBS is still running. They ran it like 4 or 5 times this summer.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I've seen
Yeah.
it again. Yeah.
That documentary was a lot of fun. We got nominated for a New England Emmy Award. We did not win. My wife is still very upset about that.
Really?
She wants to inquire. She wants to have an investigation. She can't understand why we didn't win. She takes the losses a little harder than I do.
Yeah, yeah.
But nice to be nominated. No, that was a fun documentary, and it was great. And I don't know if Rhode Island PBS is running it any more in September, but they did run it 4 or 5 times this summer.
Now, didn't
it's fun.
that also have footage from Rome? Or?
We had footage from Water Fire Rome, which they did while we were shooting this thing, and on the Tiber River, and how it came together and why it came together is a fascinating story. Part of the documentary outlines that whole part of the piece. And Waterfire sold. I mean, part of that was a fundraiser for Waterfire, so they sold hundreds of DVDs,
Right.
and still once in a while someone buys a DVD.
Sure.
But now it's all downloads, and you know how that works. Yeah, it's funny. I just watched a part of it with someone. We took some people from New York to Waterfire the other day for the first time.
I missed the damn water fire,
Yeah.
the first one in a year and a half.
It was nice being down there, and I watched our 5-minute trailer, which is on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/rockjoevideos, ROCJO videos,
Rock
plural.
Joe Video.
youtube.com/ROCJO videos. So there's a 5-minute trailer to the documentary you're talking about, and I just watched it for the first time in years the other day to show it to our friends from New York,
Right.
as a little preview of what they
Oh,
were coming to.
that must have been nice.
It was nice to see. I saw some shots, and I don't sit at home watch our stuff all day, But yeah, it was. So we should maybe do a sequel. It's 10 years later. A lot has happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Barnaby and that crew, boy, I'll tell you.
Now he's got a lock on
They
that
have
too,
done-
right? Doesn't he have a.
I'm not sure how it's trademarked or, but
Yeah.
probably, and they should. I mean, they created it.
Because I know you couldn't do it in the United States, but how about
Well, you can kind of rip off the idea, and a few towns and cities have.
you call it something else?
I guess they call it something else.
River, fire on the river or something. right?
Probably, yeah, probably. But Barnaby and that crew have done such a tremendous job with that event and what that has meant to Providence and Rhode Island and the economic impact. And like a lot of people, they went through a very tough time during the pandemic. You should have Barnaby in. Have you ever had him on the show?
No, I have not.
Oh, he'd be a great guest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you need some video B-roll, let me know. I can
Really?
hook you up.
Yeah. You know where I could get some of that?
I'll throw you a DVD, no charge. There you go. So what else do you want to talk about?
How long you been married now?
Oh, yes. 20 years to the dynamic Diane. Anniversary was yesterday.
I
and
know.
Every anniversary, we pull out the video, the edited video that a friend of mine shot. We were watching it last night.
Yep.
You were prominently featured in that video.
Really?
They're taking pictures. Yeah, we caught you. Usually from behind. We shot you from
yeah, you got
behind, elbows and. But no, we spotted you, and it's always fun to get out the video. Yeah, 20 years. I'm a lucky guy.
Wow.
And she's a great cook too.
I know that.
Besides being,
I
very
know that.
attractive and personable, and through the pandemic, We didn't do much takeout. I mean, I think Diane cooked about 384
You were
days
very
straight.
fortunate there, my
Yeah.
man. You were very fortunate
Right.
there. Everybody else is eating canned foods.
And I remember one dark day during the pandemic, we had you on the phone, and she was giving you some pizza tips because
Right,
I
we
know
were going back and
you're a
forth.
connoisseur, and
Right.
a pizza
Well,
chef.
She got me to change the way I...
The dough.
The
Did she have
dough.
some tips on the dough?
Yeah, because she likes to let it sit out all night.
Good memory.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you were actually paying attention to that call?
Of course, I do it. In fact,
didn't know you were paying attention.
I use it. I do that.
How's it working
now.
out?
I like it better. It's
Yeah.
easier it's easier to maneuver the dough
Right.
when you leave it out for 8 hours.
That's what I hear. I'm banned in the kitchen because
Really?
I almost lit the house on fire 18 years ago. So yeah, I barely know where the saran wrap is. Otherwise, I leave everything to Diane.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, I call a guy.
You call a guy, huh?
Yeah.
Now, we talked about all kinds of dough and what she uses on the pizza. And speaking of Italian stuff, this deli right up the street here is excellent.
Oh, I've heard. I heard.
Excellent.
I think it was you told me the best sandwich you've ever had.
At least in a long time, that's
Wow.
for sure.
Well, I might stop on running out of here today.
Oh, yeah. Extra sharp provolone.
Okay.
Big, if you get the
Should I drop
regular
your
ones-
name when I go in
Oh,
there,
yeah,
or will I get poisoned?
We're going over there together.
Okay.
You got to, if you order the regular, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's a two-person sandwich, right?
Right.
And I ordered soprano. You'll like that. One of the sandwich I like is
Is
the
this called the Soprano,
It's
as in
called the
Tony,
Soprano.
the late great Tony
Yep,
Soprano?
Yep. I know you're a big fan.
Do you
of
know, and I
stuff.
don't know if your audience knows, we have a very big weekend coming up of entertainment and sports, so mark your calendars. Listen to this. October 1st is the debut, in theaters only, I think, The Many Saints of Newark, which is the prequel to The Sopranos, a much anticipated movie for several years. Gandolfini's son plays young Tony Soprano. That's October 1st.
Wow.
October 2nd, Lenny and Friends, Greenwich Odium,
Right.
greenwichodium.com for tickets. October 3rd is a guy named Tom Brady coming back to Foxborough.
Yes.
That's Sunday night. It's a game you may have heard about.
Yeah, October 3rd.
October 4th, we all
That's
catch
game 4, right?
Yes.
Game
October 4th, a Monday, we all catch our breath. Maybe go have a sandwich at this place you're talking about. October 5th, a likely wild card game, Red Sox Yankees.
So
How's
you
that
think
for a
it's gonna
4-day
happen?
stretch?
You think that's going to happen?
Well, it looks
It
that
looks
way.
close, anyway.
It looks
'Cause how
that
many
way.
games do they have left, each one of them?
About 22 games per this taping, and right now it's Red Sox, Yankees, and Oakland and Seattle are in the
I think
rear view mirror.
The Yankees were doing so great, and all of a sudden
Well, you know how that goes.
they died just like the Red Sox did. They just fell on their face.
Right, but how about a great way to start October with all those events coming up?
Yeah.
Between TV, football, comedy, the movies. There you go.
Speaking of games, we got a big game tonight, nationally televised game. Tom Brady.
Who do you like, Tampa, Dallas? Because many people will see this after tonight's game.
Right.
So you're on the hook here because of, who do you like?
I got to go with Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa.
Got to go with Tampa.
You would think.
Yeah.
Right.
Although
Dallas, always up and
they're
down,
up and down.
unpredictable.
You don't know what team you got.
That's
you're
right.
playing against.
Yep, Tommy and the boys. I think I
Their
heard
defense is phenomenal.
the first Super Bowl winning team to come back with every starter since 1977 was the
Right.
last time it happened.
no
There's
player.
a stat for you.
Yeah, no player has left. Nobody went to
Very
free
difficult to
agency.
do.
Yeah.
Bringing everybody back. Now, the question, though, is, as you often know, teams
They
win
lose
Super
a
Bowls or
step.
go to Super Bowls, right?
Yep.
Get a little fat and lazy.
Right.
Now, I don't think Brady will let that happen with those guys because he brought a work ethic and a culture down there that everybody bought in on.
Yep.
And
and hopefully they're still in on it.
We're going to find out. I think so, but you never know.
Right.
You win a Super Bowl, guys party a little bit too much during the off season. They get a little.
There's only been what four or five teams that have back-to-back Super Bowls.
Appeared in or won?
Won.
Well, Buffalo 4 in a row. They lost them all.
No, I'm talking about winning the Super Bowl.
Winning back to back. Well, the Patriots did it,
And the Steelers did it.
and I think San Francisco did
Yes, San Francisco. I think there's another one though. Dallas Cowboys.
it. In
did it.
Dallas. That sounds right.
Right?
Very good.
Yeah, they're the only one. I think there's four. There might be five. There might be a fifth one. Oh yeah, yes, there is. Denver.
Denver won back to back. Are you
Yes,
sure
they
about
did.
that?
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure
All
about
right.
it.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm pretty sure they did it. They went back to back.
See, my mind head now is in the comedy and video production
Right,
business.
right, yeah.
So you might want to bring on one of sportscasters, they'll be able to
sportscaster.
fill you in on that.
How
Or,
long were you a sportscaster for Channel 10?
12 years at Channel 10 and 4 years before that at other stations jumping around the country.
Right.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a fun time. It was a good stretch. I enjoyed doing it. Now I just enjoy going to games and leaving whenever I want.
Right.
Don't have to worry about who's talking, who's moody, who's not. You know those locker room situations, not as much fun as you might think after a losing game.
Especially after a loss.
How about 46-10, you lose the Super Bowl of the Bears? Go in that locker room.
Wow.
January of '86 in the Superdome.
Well, he's in town, by the way.
Patriots, that was a tough day.
McMahon's in town tonight.
Why isn't he on your show? Where you couldn't
That's
get him?
right. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. McMahon's in town. He's doing the Billy V.
You should be there with a
testimonial
camera.
tonight.
You should be there.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember that was quite a day. But the run up to get there was very, very exciting.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it all came crashing down when the Patriots got blown out. Didn't bury the Bears. They got buried by the Bears.
Now, I went to a playoff game. I don't know. I think it was that year. They played in Miami.
Right. Well, the AFC Championship game was in Miami.
Yeah.
And it's the first time they had won in the Orange Bowl,
And
which
it
was a great way to close
It rained
out.
like hell.
Yeah.
It rained.
I remember.
I was there.
Yeah.
It rained terribly that day. I mean, it was so awful to be there. It was good to be there, but I mean, absolutely drenched. Fortunately, it was warm. That was the only.
You
saving
might be
grace.
thinking of the season finale that year was on a Monday night, and it rained in the fourth quarter. It was pouring, and that was the year. That was a Monday night game.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember standing on the field at the end on the goal line with Bob Lobel, who was at Channel 4 at the time.
Right,
He didn't
yeah.
have an umbrella, and I did. So Bob and I are huddled under this little umbrella in pelting rain on the goal line, trying to stay dry. It was ridiculous. He was soaked to begin with before I went over to him.
Right.
I just didn't want to see him drown because I'd known Bob a long time. I used to intern for him. But then we were there 5 weeks later for the championship game, or 4 weeks later, and the rest is history. But to be the first team to get to the Super Bowl as a wild card, people may remember they went to the Meadowlands and beat the Jets, Mark Gastineau and that crew.
Right.
Then we went out to L.A. and beat the Raiders, and then back to Miami to the Orange Bowl and beat Dan Marino and the Dolphins. And 2 weeks later, it's like, holy mackerel, the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, and
Yeah.
here we are in New Orleans. It was unthinkable at the time. Now, today's generation can't even relate or even know what that was about. But the team was so up and down, mostly down for years, to even think of going to a Super Bowl
Right.
was just
Now,
unthinkable.
who was the quarterback then?
Well, it was Grogan and Tony Eason.
Right.
Eason for most of the season, and Grogan, but yeah.
Didn't Eason get hurt?
Craig
near
James.
the end there?
Yeah, they put Grogan
They
in,
put
but
Grogan
Eason
in.
played in the Super Bowl, and early in the game they took him out, put Grogan, and it didn't matter. That Bears defense was
Oh,
so
yeah.
good.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Joe Montana could have been the quarterback. It would not have mattered that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, that was a beatdown.
That was
a beatdown.
So that's what I mean about those are days you really earn your money. Go in a locker room after a team has lost the Super Bowl 46-10 and see if you can get compelling answers.
I'll get any answer.
Get any answers.
All right.
Yeah.
Last call. Lenny Clark's the 2nd of October.
Lenny and friends.
Lenny and friend at the Odeum,
Greenwich Odeum, East Greenwich.
East Greenwich.
GreenwichOdeum.com.
And then on the 22nd, is it?
Yes, sir.
22nd of October.
Comedy for the Courageous. Come and thank
White's.
personally these frontline workers, and all the money's going to South Coast Health and the ministry that supports St. Anne's Hospital at White's of Westport, and that's southcoastcomedy.com.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thanks for
Thank you.
stopping by and spending part of an hour with Bob.
Thanks. Congratulations on being back in another season.
All right.
Thanks, folks.
And thank you, folks, for watching an hour with Bob. Until next time, see you.